I'm joined today by Stuart Sandeman. Stuart, how are you on this glorious day? T-shirt weather?
Yeah, it is t-shirt weather, isn't it?
Good.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling good. Feeling good
stuff.
today. Just came back from holiday, so.
Oh, lovely. Yes, you
Yeah.
look very tan. I didn't wash that. Anyway, you're very open about your story and your experience in life. Was that a natural thing for you to do, or did it take time and effort?
To share my story,
Yeah.
it was kind of the opposite. I never used to talk about
Yeah.
myself in that way. And I think when you find something that changes your life in such a profound way, you tend to want to share that with the world. And that's certainly why I really started to share my story a lot more.
Right, and how when you first did it, how did you feel? How was it? Was it like cathartic, or was it?
Yeah, I think absolutely cathartic. It's a very touching story. It's a very deep personal story, and yeah, for any time I used to share it, I used to feel very emotional. And sometimes when I feel into that space, I do feel emotion.
Yeah,
and I think that's what's, I guess, engaging in some ways, because people can feel that too, that it is a deep personal story.
and then obviously off the back of that, kind of you how you work and what you're doing, and you're looking at breath work, and in order to keep your mental health in a great place. Again, tell me briefly how you got into the concept of breath work.
I got into breathwork completely by accident.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't something
I'd say it was a careful thing, like
no, it wasn't.
Strategic plan.
It very much wasn't. My whole life had been strategically planned up into that point. I came to breathwork through grief, and that was part of the story. I lost my girlfriend to cancer. She had a sort of 18-month battle with terminal cancer. Before that, I toured the world as a DJ, and before that, I worked in corporate world. I worked in finance for many years, and before that, I was a sports professional. So I kind of jumped around a bit. But my step into breathwork was by accident. I took my mum for Mother's Day to a breathing class.
Oh, really?
And that was.
And were you kind of, I suppose, male in your reticence to go in, or were you like, I'm going to take you there and we're going to have fun together?
It was actually, I was meeting my mum for Mother's Day, and I didn't have a present. And something popped up online last minute,
Brilliant.
and I thought, Mum's into yoga, she'll love this.
Yeah.
And it was the following weekend.
Okay.
I was going through a grieving process. My girlfriend had passed away earlier that year, so it was. Yeah, I thought, oh, it'd be good for my mum. My mum will like it, but maybe I'll get something from this too.
You're engaged in terms of trying.
Engaged until I walked into the door, and then I almost felt disengaged because it was in a format that I wasn't used to.
Okay.
And even the style of breathing I thought was quite bizarre and strange. And it wasn't until I started that practice that I had this humongous physical shift in my body. I felt emotion bubble up, and I felt for the first time in a long time. And I also felt that my girlfriend who passed away was there with me, which was weird and wonderful. And it was from that moment, because of that powerful experience with my mum, and she had an equally powerful experience, but very different.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was from that day, from that experience, that I thought, well, there's 3 options here. Someone spiked my drink before going into this class, and they weren't the type for that. I've completely lost my mind, and grief has done something to me, and now I'm hallucinating and all sorts. Or something here called breathing that I'd overlooked my whole life. Had the power to take me into this space for deep healing and a shift and a change and transformation. So that's the breadcrumb I followed, and I set off on my way to find out as much as I possibly could about breathing and different contexts. Initially coming in through this more therapeutic angle, working through grief, and it was all for myself. And the more I worked through using my breath and doing different breathwork practices, the more I started to, well, it's like you pick up the rock, you want to find a bit more out, and the other applications of it. And I started to notice my sleep deepen, my energy increase, the voice in my head became a bit kinder to me, and my energy levels went through the roof when I was training in the gym and things like that. So it was tangible differences. And that was it. I think when you find something that is so effective and helpful for yourself, you want to share it with others.
It genuinely fascinated me when we first came to our path, and we were reading about you and finding out about you and then listening to you. It's so obvious that actually we should all kind of focus more on our breath, because it helps us to live. Why we and we talk about all sorts of alternative therapies, kind of people get yoga, this, that, and the other. but actually no one really talks about breath work. Why are we so
It's
kind of just not aware of it?
Yeah, well, fortunately, people are more and more aware of it.
Okay.
That's the good thing.
Good.
But I think generally speaking, we spend our life too busy to breathe, and I was that guy.
Right.
We're running from A to B. We're wanting quick fixes. We're wanting solutions, and it's so simple and so obvious that it's often overlooked. You talk about yoga. Well, yoga's basic form is breathing and movement.
Yeah.
And people get so obsessed with the physical exercise part of it. Can I touch my toes? Can I do that pose that I saw on Instagram?
Yes.
And they forget about the breathing. So it's really about understanding your breath and understanding it in different scenarios. Understanding, well, am I breathing correctly at rest? Our breath is there to keep us alive. It gives us our energy. It detoxifies our body. How am I breathing throughout my day? Am I using my breath to optimize my flow, my energy, my state of mind when I'm at work or when I'm with my friends, whatever it is? Like, are we actually using our breath to our advantage? So I think people have overlooked this superpower that they already have and own, and that's what's so amazing about it. It's so accessible and so powerful way to shift the way you think and feel.
And so when you're running a session for people, and they come out of it, is it so they have techniques, or is it just to make them more aware? What are you trying to get?
A key word there, you said awareness. I think awareness is such a powerful tool, because with awareness we have choice, and with choice we can make a change. So big part of awareness. I pride myself on turning skeptics, because I was probably that skeptic once upon a time, and getting people to understand how are they breathing and what does this mean. Everyone has a breathing archetype, a way that they breathe, and because the way that we breathe triggers the way we feel, because every breath pattern triggers our emotion. The way someone breathes will tell me exactly what's going on for them, and maybe even some of their personality traits, which I found fascinating. Because a feeling that lasts a week we call a mood. A mood that lasts a couple of months we call a temperament. Temperament that lasts a couple of years, where we can say that's a part of our personality. And that all goes back to the way that we're breathing in any moment. So in a workshop, awareness is the first thing. How are you breathing? Like, let's turn the light on for a moment and go, oh wow, I'm maybe breathing in a certain way that's ringing an alarm bell to my body. My breath pattern in itself could be one of the contributing factors to my stress and anxiety. Why I'm not sleeping, why I can't digest my food, why I feel exhausted in the morning or the afternoon. So understand how you're breathing and what that means. And then sharing around more optimal ways of breathing for different scenarios. And that's one side. And then the I guess the more exciting side is then giving people tools, practical, simple tools they can use to take control of their day, rather than letting their day control them. So instead of being on autopilot, instead of just letting the experience kind of roll out throughout our day, diving into the driving seat by using our breath, because when we use our breath, when we train our breath in different ways, we start tapping into our nervous system. So we allow our body to work for us. So if you're feeling tired, you're feeling exhausted, well, we can actually create motivation and energy in our body without reaching for the fifth cup of coffee.
Amazing.
If we're feeling distracted, well, we can bring more focused states by tuning into our breath. If we are wanting to calm ourselves down, and not maybe an obvious one in terms of breath and breathing, is if we're feeling stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, maybe you're nervous before a big pitch, a meeting, or a engagement with any sorts, well, we can use our breath to calm our whole system down. And in that moment, we take more control.
So let me ask one final question, which is, I remember when I was growing up, it's like when I thought about my breathing, I was conscious of my breathing, I always used to stop breathing, because it was like that conscious, like, I need to breathe, else I'm going to stop breathing. Are you conscious of is it something that you're much more conscious of now, or have you trained yourself, or kind of such that actually it just comes naturally?
Well, we don't want to consciously breathe all day, or we don't get anything done. But it's really about making the unconscious conscious. So understanding our patterns, our habits, how we're breathing, is that affecting the way we're thinking, the way we're interacting, our behavior, our productivity, our stress levels. And once we understand that, then taking conscious control with awareness. So I'm aware right now, maybe I'm feeling a bit anxious and stressed. Then if you're feeling that, well, you're changing your breath to change how you feel in that moment. So it comes with this two-part piece, really. It's awareness of self, understanding how we're thinking and feeling, and then knowing that we have a choice to make a change. And the first thing we can do, the most effective thing we can do, is change our breath.
Stuart, on that note, thank you so much indeed. Been lovely meeting.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.